Okay, welcome to my wormery, and today I'm going to be dealing with one of my two pot bins, is what I refer to these. Looks like a planter or a pot, and I used it as a worm bin, and it's now at day 115, and it's every time I go to feed this bin, it seems like all I see is castings. I think it might be time to harvest, so I have two of these. I'm going to use this as a gauge to determine what to do with the other one, but one at a time. So I'm just going to dump the contents of this out, keeping in mind that I just fed this a few days ago. This is going to be some cranberries in here. Um, and there's also, I wanted to harvest, so I created that little harvest bait bomb, which at this point I know doesn't work, so I'm not bothering with that anymore. Just going to straight up sift through this thing, separate the castings from the worms, then the worms will go into a bin that I've got going that I not maybe a month ago, that I started about a month ago, and they'll be good in there. That's an almost fresh new bin. So let's get started. Let's bring the camera in a little bit closer. The light isn't so good, but yeah, you could see some cranberries here and there. This might have been some sort of stringy vegetable. And somewhere in here is also the remnants of that bait bomb. By bait bomb, I mean it was a toilet paper roll filled with shredded vegetable scraps. And like a thief in the night, the worms came in, they grabbed all the shredded veggies and left. So I thought there'd be a big mass of worms, and all I got was just cardboard. And get started dumping this thing out. This is actually two bins. Sort of like a double. Some of this more easy to separate material, like this cardboard. I'll just pull this right off. Yeah, I know the light is a little bit poor for trying to do a sifting for worms. You need nice bright light to convince the worms to go diving down into the material. And I know I don't really have that here. It's not ideal, but we'll just make do with what we have. Alright, so I guess we've now just sort of committed to breaking this whole thing up into loose chunks. That would be the easiest way to manage it, I think, hopefully. Maybe I should start pulling out larger pieces of stuff that's obviously not going to go through the screen. But then again, I might be picking up compost. Maybe it is best just to screen it. Shake off any vermicompost might be sticking to it. They are pretty evenly spread throughout the material. Some chunks of the material don't seem to have any worms in them. Some of these pieces here. Well, we'll see how much of it goes through the screen and how much of it gets captured. So I'll create a sort of a working pile on one side. This will be our working pile over here. And we'll try to just skim the clean compost out and allow the worms to stay in the pile and dive down out of the light. This looks like big stuff I can just put away as well here. So I'll just start picking off material from the top and tossing it off to the side. Just see a little bit better. Let's see if I can turn this around a little bit, like so. nifty screen gizmo here. Alright, I think I'm done. Fairly large amount of uncomposted material. Feels like shredded cardboard, the majority of it, and the majority of it also feels like it's pretty far along in the composting process. So I think it's good material to relocate the worms with. I'll just leave this remaining material with the worms as well and just take all of this and put them into that other active bin. This will change things. We're going to give that bin a nice injection of worm population, as well as some more uncomposted material that'll be added. It should make for a nice cozy environment for the worms. Treat this as more or less as a ball of worms, as well as some good, very cozy material for them to move into from the beginning. So let's get the bin that they're gonna get put into. Okay. So my compost, all my collected compost is down here on the bottom. And the assumption is that that compost has worms and cocoons in it, and future worms. So as those worms grow hungry or are born and start seeking food, they're going to work their way upwards, which is their natural tendency, up into this new bin. And I did do a little bit of probing around within this bin recently, and I was able to confirm that there are a fair number of worms that are starting to populate it already. And I also confirmed that the holes are all quite clear and easy for worms to come up through, so I'm not worried about that anymore. See some worms here and there. I guess what we'll do is, that's really going to boost the size of this bin considerably. Going to add a lot more weight to it, that's for sure. We'll use a little bit of that to cover them up at the end, and then use the remainder of the material to cover everything up. So here goes our worms. Come a little bit closer just in case there's some good activity. Nice population of worms in this bin. Maybe let them settle in. Even though there's already some worms making their way into it, this addition of worms is going to really kick up the activity. I'm going to have to start feeding this bin regularly now too. Thought I was already down to compost only, but I think there's still plenty of this stuff, which is seemingly just uncomposted cardboard bits. Try to bury these cranberries. Definitely like the moisture, the way it looks, the way it is here. Got this nice gooey texture to it. Sure, if it was necessary, I would have continued watering it on a more regular basis, but I think it's just about right. So let's pack this thing away. All right, thanks everyone. Thanks for coming along and taking part in my vermicomposting fun. I'm going to go ahead and put this stuff back on the shelf, so I'll take that opportunity to say thanks for coming, and give me a like if you enjoyed the video, and come again. Come on back for more vermicomposting fun.